What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Kickash Podcast. We are back here today to discuss some AEW. We are going to take a look at Dynamite and some key things that stood out from last night, and a segment that was pretty much my favorite that I think, in my opinion, stole the show. That's obviously subjective, but in my opinion, it was a pretty breakout moment for this individual. So we'll be getting into that, but also there's a little bit of outside the news or outside the ring news for AEW as a company as a whole. So that's pretty cool, and we'll be getting into that here as well. But as always, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for checking out the show and for downloading or streaming or viewing or listening or just doing whatever you're doing to check out the show. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys are doing good. Feels like forever since I sat down last to talk some wrestling, so I'm excited to do so. The cat Vixie is roaming. Looks like she's perched for now, but if you guys see a tail in the background or something fluffy walk by, I don't have rodents. It's just the cat. So heads up on that. But last little bit of business. Just feel free to follow the show or follow me on Twitter at @kickashpodcast_ or me at ASHMANNS. If you want, you can let me know your thoughts on the show, or you can leave a comment on YouTube or wherever you feel inclined to do so. But with that being said, definitely wanted to hit on this, which I think is pretty cool. I have a couple mixed opinions and maybe viewpoints about it, but all in all, I think it could be hopefully a good thing for AEW. They just earlier today, I believe, yeah, it's crazy. Today's the 16th already. But earlier today, AEW issued the following press release on obviously Thursday to announce a series of events that will be held in Arlington, Texas at Esports Stadium. And today's date is May 16th, 2024. So if you're listening in the future, um, it's so side note, here we go already. It's just so cool to go back and listen to a show like from 5 years ago or a year ago or 3 years ago, whatever, even a month ago sometimes. And it's just crazy to think of like, man, like how times have changed and how quickly some things have changed, whether it's in the world or just wrestling. It's just fucking crazy how life is. But back to the important thing, which is wrestling here. All Elite Wrestling in the city of Arlington today announced a historic partnership that will feature AEW hosting a summer series of events on the Path to All In from the world-class Esports Stadium in Arlington beginning Saturday, July 20th. Esports Stadium Arlington is set to be a hub of cutting-edge wrestling action, hosting a multitude of AEW and Ring of Honor events throughout July and August. The lineup includes TNT's AEW Collision, Battle of the Belts, and the highly anticipated ROH Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view event on Friday, July 26th. I'm not going to comment. The Path to All-In dates at Esports Stadium Arlington are as follows. Additional Ring of Honor dates will be announced in the near future. And then they list about starting obviously from July 20th through August 17th, which is, it looks like a Saturday to a Saturday, so about a month out of shows. So if you're in the area, I definitely recommend checking that out if you want to see AEW live. And, not for nothing, like, granted, the product isn't where it was a couple of years ago, even 2 years ago, a year ago. But it is still cool. Like, it is still great to go, first of all, and to support wrestling in general. But just to go and have a good time, man, and to enjoy the atmosphere, to just get lost in the shit that you enjoy. So my thing is, yeah, we all have our critiques. Obviously, like I'm sitting here running my mouth about it, right? We all have our critiques and our opinions and the way we would do things and shit like that. But if you're really at the point where it's just like frustrating you, or you're just mad, or you're like, it just makes you like in a negative mindset, then I don't know why you're watching it, my guys. Like, I don't know. um, and then they just go on to announce where you can find the tickets. So, like I said, just check out the article there, which you can find pretty much anywhere at this point. They continue on to tote the Arlington Stadium, Esports Stadium, Arlington. It's a weird name. It just seems out of order. It's the largest dedicated in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Good for them. Congrats to you guys out there. I'm sure it's beautiful. But it goes on to say, we are thrilled to partner with the City of Arlington for AEW's first ever esports stadium. So I get for talking shit. This AEW Summer Series will add to the rich legacy of major professional wrestling events held in the great state of Texas and serve as the ultimate springboard for AEW All in London on August 25th at Wembley Stadium, said AEW CEO general manager and head of creative Tony Khan. I was literally, before I continue, I was literally gonna say, because at first I thought that they were ending with just AEW CEO Tony Khan, but then the article continued and then it listed his other list of titles. But I was literally about to say, wow, he shortened, like, he's only going by one now. Like, wow, like, okay. But no. So hey, man, and I get it. You wear all the hats. You want fucking ownership and credit for it. I dig it. I get it. It's just funny. It's just funny because whatever. I'm not gonna nitpick that right now. Continuing on, he says this partnership would not have been possible without the tireless support of Matt Wilson, Justin Grimsley, the Arlington Sports Commission, and City of Arlington teams, and of course our incredibly passionate fan base throughout Texas. We are honored to team with Tony Khan and All Elite Wrestling for this incredible opportunity, said Arlington Sports Commission Executive Director Matt Wilson. The ability to host TNT's wildly popular AEW Collision program is another milestone achievement to bring worldwide events to Arlington and shine a global weekly spotlight on our beautiful city. So pretty much what they're doing is like a residency type shit, and is what it sounds like. And I get it, and I think that's cool, and I think it's very beneficial and has a lot of pros and cons. Just a few pros, obviously you're saving on travel expenses, transportation, airfare, shit like that. You're not gonna have to load all your equipment and all your shit between multiple cities, multiple towns, and shit like that. You can literally park it there, it looks like, for a month or so and call it a day. So I think that's great. Although it would be interesting, like the nitty gritty, like does talent have to stay out there for the entire month? Are they able to go back and forth? Does company still pay for that? I don't know. That's none of my business. But in the grand scheme of things, right? You're still cutting back on the bulk of equipment and transportation costs and things of that nature. So I think that's obviously a plus. You know where you're going to be for the next month, which I'm sure they already do by now anyway. But it really sets a tone and it sets a pace and it sets a structure mid to the beginning, or not the well. I think the beginning of summer officially is in like June or something, but July, you're pretty much mid the beginning to midsummer at that point. So that leaning into All In, I think it's cool, and I think it's a great idea, and I think it's very cool that he or the company or whomever thought to pretty much put, like they said, like almost like a little, not Olympic style, but like they said, a summer series event. So each show is gonna have a different feel and a different sense of purpose in a lot of ways, even if it doesn't have a title or titles on the line. Um, Even if the show itself isn't themed or named, and I don't think it should be. But I think it sets the scene, right? And it's kind of like a countdown, like okay, like now we know like 30 or 40, whatever the days may be, the countdown is on to All In. And it's kind of how WWE would do the beginning of WrestleMania season, right? Like I remember back in the day getting so excited when the Royal Rumble would happen, or start rather, and you would start to see the countdowns. It'd be like 70 days until WrestleMania, then 40 days until WrestleMania, and then in just 30 days, and it just gets lower and lower. And it helps build the anticipation without having to verbally say anything or really invest much at all besides a graphic. You know what I mean? Um, so I think that's really cool, and I think that's a plus. Um, a few other pros as well, but I think those are the main ones, right? A couple of cons, though, and no pun intended, is the fact that you run the risk rather of diluting the fan base and the crowd and the attendance in that area, in that immediate area. Now, with them, it looks like obviously being at one stadium in one location, you would imagine that it's going to be your same people, your same local people commuting to the events, right? Now granted, it is the summertime. I'm not honestly sure. Obviously, I'm not from the area. What the travel and the tourism is like in the area, so maybe it gets a lot of influx as from outside travelers. You know what I mean? And outside people coming in to check out the area, or just doing whatever. You know what I mean? So, and it's not like it's in some bumfuck area in the country. Right? Like it's in Texas. It's in Arlington. Like it's a pretty decent, decently well known area in my opinion. So I think that's obviously a plus as well. But you just run the risk of potentially running out the fan base, right? And diluting the fan base and diluting the excitement. and potentially not having good ticket sales. And again, we're way far off to see. I don't think they even mentioned when, and I could be wrong before I say anything. Let me go back and see when they mentioned their tickets. Dun-dun. Yeah, I am wrong. Before I even run my mouth. Tickets for the it's the shit I didn't read. There you go, for not reading. Tickets for the Path to All In Summer Series will go on sale Thursday, June 6th at 10 a.m. Central via and then their website. So it, like I said, it will go on sale Thursday, June 6th, and the shows themselves start on July 20th and run through August 17th. And honestly, well, I take that back now. I wonder what they're doing for Dynamite then, because they're just running that arena or that stadium, esports stadium, every Saturday. So obviously they reference and mention just Collision. So they're not doing Dynamite and Rampage. They're obviously doing a Battle of the Belts. So one of the collisions will be a Battle of the Belts. But I I kind of take back everything I just said now. um I don't know unless you're still going to be doing something in the immediate Texas area. Um, but I don't know. Now I'm kind of even more intrigued. So I don't know. At least maybe for every Saturday you're gonna know where you're still going. And at least like right now, like okay, I know if I'm an AEW new talent or employee or whatever, from July 20th through the 17th, every Saturday, I am going to be in Arlington. Um, but I don't know. Like I just think that now I'm even more conflicted about how I feel. I kind of felt okay about it, right? Like I was kind of like I mentioned a little, not even 50-50, but I saw more pros than cons, but I was concerned about just like I mentioned diluting the fan base and just the excitement and the return of investment essentially. Um and having your fans come back and taking the chance and the risk of not having great ticket sales and attendance for each collision, and it's a Saturday night too. But like I said, I don't know the area. Maybe there's a lot going on, and people are going to be in that area, and it's going to be something easy for them to go do, or the exact opposite. Maybe they're going to be going out elsewhere. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not from that area. I've never been to Texas, so I'm not one to speak on what they do out there. Um, but it is very interesting that it is every Saturday, except for, of course, the Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor show on the 26th of July. And then Thursday, August 1st, they're actually taping AEW Collision to be aired on August 3rd. Um, so, yeah, so definitely TBD on that. Like I said, I think they'll still be able to get a pretty good turnout. It looks like the stadium itself holds 2,500, is it? I believe that's what I saw. Yeah, the venue's capacity is about 2,500. So, and with that, I'm sure you'll have to figure out what you're gonna do with the staging and things like that, and the lighting and things of that nature. But yeah, man, it's overall it's a pretty cool deal. I think it's pretty creative, and I think it's a fun build. Hopefully, they take advantage of that and they use it properly towards for the build towards All In London rather. Um, and if it's a success, I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see a tournament be at it. And and mark my words here, if there's a some type of summer series tournament at it, and with the winner getting a title match for one of the 15 titles at All In. Obviously not a world championship match or anything like that, but we'll see. And I think it could be cool. But with that being said, we are going to get over or move over rather to the Dynamite side of things and take a look at a couple things that I really enjoyed from Dynamite last night. I had a chance to sit down and watch a little bit more of the show than I normally do on a Wednesday night, so that was pretty cool. Pretty the top two things that were pretty much my favorites, and my favorite stood out by far. But the top two things that really stood out to me was the Swerve Strickland, Brian Cage, not necessarily the match, but that segment and then what led after the match, and with Christian Cage, obviously. And I think it really it was a simple when you think about it, it was a simple touch, right? And something that it's kind of funny that we don't really see more of, and that was the inclusion of Christian Cage, pretty much getting like a family photo of Swerve, I guess Swerve's significant other, and then of course female. Didn't want to imply anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that, obviously. I'm one to say, but just didn't want to say anything weird or imply anything different. Um, and put anything false or speculative out there. But that's just kind of what I say now in general. But that's a whole nother conversation, and probably not meant for a wrestling podcast. But and I say that just because I'm not sure if they're together at this moment, right? So I don't want to say his girlfriend, his wife, or whoever. But there's a lady in the picture with Swerve, who I'm assuming is the child's mother, um, and then his daughter as well, their daughter as well. So it was a family photo, right? That's pretty much probably what I could have called it. Um, but it was so simple, right? It was in a frame, it was in a glass frame. The match was over. Obviously, Swerve won, which we all expected, but it was a pretty decent match. I wish they would have given Brian Cage a little bit more. But they may not have known they were gonna go this route and have Swerve face off against him. And I will say, I am still mixed on having Swerve wrestle so much. It's just kind of interesting to me that he's still just wrestling so much, being the heavyweight champion. In a lot of ways, I dig it, and he's kind of like Seth Rollins in that regard, where he likes to be a fighting champion, and kind of what Damian Priest has been saying in interviews that he's done, especially in the media scrum that he did after WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure it's that one. He mentioned that he really wants to be a fighting champion, and he really wants to just prove what he can do and just go out there and prove why he's the best and why he believes that he is the champion and he's the man. And I really correlate that a lot with Swerve in a lot of ways. Obviously, different dynamics in the grand scheme, but I think the core of what a Swerve, a Damian Priest, and a Seth Rollins originally set out to do is go out there and prove that they're the best and prove that they have a right and a reason to be the champion and can carry the ball and can carry the company and can be the man. So where at first I was like, I still will stand on this hill that the Dynamite after Swerve winning the championship, he at Dynasty, he absolutely should have opened the show with in-ring promo, in-ring. Even if you want to do a full celebration, right? Like if you don't want to go out there and like dress up the ring and do all that shit, just simply have him go out there, do whatever, have Swerve create it, like he's a really fucking creative guy. Obviously, like this guy just masters every different field that he goes in, right? And makes it his own. So, and he bodies it, right? So why not have him just give him free reign? Be like, look, dude, you have 15 minutes or whatever you're gonna do, even if you don't have that much time, right? Whatever the length of his match was, give him that time. Even if you don't want to divulge that much into a quote promo segment, and you're not gonna have any plans for like obviously like a Christian Cage to come out there and set the stage or anything like that, and you don't want to have any interference, just go out there and even cut it to 8 to 10 minutes and have him go out there. And that's why I say 15, to give him a good amount of time for his entrance, to have him be able to take his time on the stage, make his way down to the ring, embrace the fans and things like that. And yeah, and just kind of like just really showcase the moment, right? And just really broadcast like, yeah, like I did what I said I was gonna do. I didn't take no for an answer. I made a goal for myself and I achieved it, and here I am type shit. You know what I mean? So I will forever think that they dropped the ball on that. And yes, obviously he got it that Saturday. But it's a week later at that point, damn near a week later. And on the Saturday show, and I'm sorry, like I didn't watch it. Like I went out and I sought out that clip, right? Obviously, but I wasn't home. You know what I mean? So it's just sucks, you know what I mean? So that's why I think I think when I say I think I mean it in the sense I think that they could be doing more with Swerve by showcasing him as the man, but I appreciate what they are doing. And I don't think they're not doing enough, but I think they're doing just enough, if that makes sense. Um I really think that they just could have like pushed him more and even promoted and spotlighted him more and made him even more of a big deal. Kind of like the MJF type. So yeah, like I don't know, that just still kind of bugs me. But with that being said, like that's what I was getting to the point. Maybe they didn't know that he was going to face off against Brian Cage specifically. But I think they could have built up. And I know Brian. We have seen him a decent amount throughout the past few months on Dynamite, so there is that. But it was one of those matches where you kind of already knew who was going to win unless there was some screwy finish or whatever. And yes, we do get that a lot in WWE, so not comparing one or the other, right? It's nothing like that, but in a sense that it just has to make sense if you can expect if it's that obvious. You know what I mean? If it's gonna be a Swerve Strickland is gonna win the match type thing, like at least make it make sense, or at least I don't know, like yes, there is the history there, and maybe this isn't the example to be nitpicking on, but I don't know. And to me, like I said, I get it, right? Because it set up the aftermath and it set up the angle after the match, which was so well done, like I was mentioning earlier with the family photo, with Christian Cage coming out, the patriarchy, and I just think it's so fucking great. It's just so funny, like when him and Mama Wayne were standing on the stage and Nick Wayne had gone down into the ring. It was just so like funny to me, and for whatever reason, like this one shot of them, just kind of like a far back shot of them just standing at the top of the stage. It was just like, wow, like this guy is calling himself Nick Wayne's father, this kid's father, and the mother is standing right here. His real life mother is standing right here, and this kid's father died. Like it's just only in wrestling, y'all. Like only in wrestling can you have a story that just unbelievable. Yes, you can have it in some movies, right? But like weekly TV, like normally they wouldn't even think of shit like this, or I don't know. It's just fucking crazy. It's just fucking crazy, and that's why you hate Christian even more, right? Because he's a piece of shit, and at some point he's either gonna turn on Nick, or something's gonna happen, and where he gets like a I don't know, something's gonna happen, and he's just really gonna be a piece of shit to Nick Wayne, or he's not gonna save him, or something's gonna happen. But not for nothing. Like I hope that doesn't come anytime soon, because I'm really liking the duo there. Luchasaurus is still kind of hit or miss for me, and just in a sense of I think they really could have gotten like a good strong babyface run out of him, like a couple maybe 2 years ago, and even a year ago. And I'm still holding out hope on that. Like it's not like a complete miss for me. It's just he just kind of feels there sometimes, and I just think that that's really unfortunate because dude is crazy talented too. So I wish we got to see him a little bit more in the ring. But yeah, like I don't know, like on Dynamite. So yeah, it's just one of those little things for me. But I really like it. I love the fact that when they hit Swerve in the face with the family picture, the frame, that shit shattered and immediately he just started bleeding. Like it was just dropping blood. Which is no surprise, right? But it made sense, right? And it added more realism to the segment. And to me, that's one of those times and those moments where, yeah, like it makes sense. It wasn't overdone, in my opinion. So go for it. And I think Swerve is just so great at just telling a story, like just in his face. Um, Obviously, getting smashed in the face by glass and having blood pouring out of your skull is or your brain, and not your brain, but you guys know what I mean, like from your head through your skin. The cat just jumped up here and it kind of distracted me. But just going through that, right? Obviously, you're gonna have a natural reaction, but to know what to do and where the camera still is and things like that, it's just a true art form. So sometimes it's kind of amazing to me and just goes overlooked. I think sometimes just the little things that the guys and gals do out there. So shout out to them, and I think it added a lot to what they're gonna do, right? And to their match. I don't know what they do next week and how they follow up with it next week. Um, Pixie is burying herself underneath the blankets. um, I'd move the camera if I could. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do next week, right? For the go home show. Um, but I hope they at this point, when you do something heavy like that, it's kind of like what else can you do? So I'm kind of surprised they did that this week and didn't save it for next week. But maybe they didn't want to take the risk of sort of getting injured and being so close to it. So I get it in that regard. But we'll see. And because I'm just saying, because you can't do like a contract signing next week, or anything like that. So we'll see. And they probably won't even do anything. They may just have Swerve say some shit backstage or say something and just go from there. I also really enjoyed the Roderick Strong and Will Ospreay backstage interaction. Will Ospreay just has that ability to just make you feel and to make you hyped up for anything that he's involved in. It's just a shame that it's for the international championship. But I did like the little something that stood out to me was a little piece where he mentioned that he's an international either superstar or talent or something. But he said the word international when describing himself. And that's a nice play into me into the international championship, right? So to me, it kind of, and I'm not going to say it made sense, but I kind of like, I was like, okay, a little bit more about it. Like, if he can, I still don't think, first of all, I still don't want him in this position, right? I still don't think he should be going for this championship. I think he should be waiting to go for the World Heavyweight Championship itself. But I think if you're going to have him try to go for something, and for whatever reason you're dead set on having him win this championship, at least have him say things and have him tie little things about himself and his journey and his ambitions into the championship itself. So yeah, like that's I don't know, like that's the only thing that's kind of making me feel a little bit better still about even Will Ospreay being in this title match. But like I said, I really enjoyed the backstage segment. The only thing I wish was different was that they were actually in the ring. I think it really would have just had a different type of atmosphere if they were in the ring. I'm not sure why it wasn't live. And they decided to do it backstage, but again, just something about having Osprey out there and just having him, even just having his music play and just having him out there for 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes max, like it just sets a different tone and a different feel and a different level of importance to the show. So I think they missed out on that part. And again, I'm just really, there's got to be a reason why they decided to just keep that backstage. But I hope it was a good one. But my favorite moment of the show, and this may be crazy to some people, and this is what I think is actually going to be main eventing Double or Nothing. I think if it doesn't, I will be kind of, and if it doesn't, I think it'll obviously be the Anarchy in the Arena match, which we'll get into predictions next week. But it's the Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné contract signing. I think Willow fucking crushed this segment. I think she knocked it out of the park. I think she really owned it. Everything she said was believable. It made you want to see her win. It made you feel for her. It made you like her. It made you love her, really. And again, I will forever go back to the obvious comparison, right? Like she's the NXT version of Bailey, but she's not as, in my opinion, not as kid oriented. She's still, and obviously with her Titantron, like the graphics and things like that, and even her music, it's bubbly, it's fun, it's colorful, and she obviously is too. Like that's her personality, but to me, she's not corny, and she's not like not cringe or not like it doesn't come off that she's trying too hard or she's trying to be a hugger or anything like that. And obviously, I'm a huge fucking Bailey fan, so I mean it in a sense that it's not like that's her goal. It really makes you feel like that's who she is as a person, and that's what she really believes, and that's what she's really fighting for. And I love what she did with the TBS championship and tying the history into the channel itself, and just Henry came from the history of wrestling itself. You can hear my dogs in the background, but I think it's really important to showcase the women and giving them the time to go out there and just say what they're gonna say. And I think Willow just really just owned the segment and just owned the night, really, in my opinion. It just really stood out to me. I was like, man, like it made me stop what I was doing and just really made me pay attention to what she was saying and just really made me excited for the match. And I really hope she doesn't lose, man. Like I really want her to retain. I really think that they got something here with Willow, and I think that they have something with Willow as the champion. I do see her being better, obviously, in chase mode, and I get it, right? And it makes more sense to have Mercedes the champion. And like I posted on Twitter, because I'm that person, I'm whatever, but I would die if Tony Khan had Mercedes Moné win and then in her first title defense lose the championship. Whether it's back to Willow or to whomever. I just think it'd be fucking just just priceless, y'all. Just fucking priceless. And not because I want to piss her off or any negative things like that or any hard feelings or anything like that, but I just think like if she'd be on board for that shit, like yo, I think that would be priceless. I think it would be so unexpected. Even if it's back to Willow, and not that I want to see you go hot potato with it, but I think just I don't know, maybe to spice shit up and just I don't know, not to be a swerve person or anything like that, but just to fuck shit up, you know, just to do some shit. But man, like I just think it would be fucking priceless. It's not gonna happen, and again, I'm not advocating for her to be pissed off or anything like that in real life. But man, like I just think it would be great. But yeah, Willow just fucking killed this segment. I think everything she said was was believable and made me, like I said, want to see her win even more. And I think on the opposite side for Mercedes, it's solidified that she's a bad guy, right? Like she is, and if not, I don't know what world we're living in. And things are pretty fucked up. But Mercedes is not a good guy right now. Like, and that's cool. Like that's, you need to embrace that. You need to run with it. And I think her tone and how she calls out the fans and how she says her CEO. I think the way she kind of that ending, how she says it and just kind of drags it on, and just kind of gets sassy with it. I think that little things like that like really solidify the heel and like the bad guy in her, right? And shows like, okay, like this is her, this is the direction we're going in, this is our reaction, this is how we should feel about her. So I'm happy we're finally at that point. I don't want to see anything crazy happen. No back and forth. No shades of gray. Like embrace it. Like Willow is the ultimate good guy, right? Ultimate good girl, whatever you're gonna say. And Mercedes is a great bad guy. Like, and let her embrace that. Let her be the CEO. You know, like let her be that body embodiment. Like let her be that character and just run wild with it. Um, so I think this is just the beginning. I think this is, and that's why I know it makes more sense to have Mercedes win the championship. But I just, my heart wants Willow to win, right? The rest of the show though was pretty decent. The opening match was obviously pretty predictable as well with the tag match itself. Um, the Young Bucks ended up firing Christopher Daniels, which I don't even know if that was ever mentioned on TV that he was like an executive backstage. Maybe obviously in the press releases they've mentioned it, but they don't talk about the press releases on TV, unless I missed something, which I may have. But that was just kind of odd to me. You just doing shit just to do it. And I get it, you know, because their characters are a piece of shit, like heels and bad guys, and do whatever they want to do in front of the company. But I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I want to see, and we'll probably get some type of resolution or progression at the pay per view. But I just want to throw out there too. And we're not getting into a production show yet, but what is the Anarchy in the Arena match even for? Like it's Team AEW versus the Elite, Team Elite, but like, what is it for? Like, is it just for bragging rights? Like, is it for control of AEW as the company? Like I feel like I'm missing something. And if I am, please let me know. Like I said, sometimes I do fast forward through some shows when I get home at night. Because I have some long days sometimes. So it's very possible that I missed something. But, and that's why I don't claim to go through this shit, you know, like detail for detail, right? I just kind of go over my favorite shit and just some news and noteworthy shit that I feel, and some things that I feel is important, right, from the show. So that's what I'm like, yo, I got to be missing something. So if I am missing something and I'm missing a key point, please let me know. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for checking out the show. We're gonna be back hopefully sometime within the next couple days, and we'll get another show cranked out here. But like I said, thank you so much for checking out the show. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great night, enjoy some wrestling, and stay safe out there, guys.